Anyone can buy you ads. Do they work? Maybe. What we can help you do is truly get visibility and credibility. Stuff that's proven, stuff that's real, stuff that's human, and stuff that works. Are you interested? I know you are. So let's talk a little bit more about it. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third-generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. Over the course of the last 40 years as a marketing expert, running a marketing company through good times and bad, we have been here to help you. We help you with, more than anything, your clarity, because clarity is what's most powerful. And that clarity then gives you the visibility. It boils down to, and we talk about it all the time, the 3 C's: clarity, consistency, and connection. You see, you've got the heart. I know you do. You have the heart, the want, the wish, the desire to connect with people. And you spent the time putting your words out, honing who you are. That's where clarity comes in. If you don't have the clarity, absolutely, let's talk. I can totally help you get clear on what you're doing and how to be able to say it more clearly. Absolutely. I love helping people with that. But once you have the clarity, so you have the consistency, that's your heartbeat, your heart connection. And you use that to really, truly help you create the clarity. And once you have that clarity that goes with that heartbeat, that connection, then what you need is consistency. You need a consistent, intentional plan to be in front of people. And here's the reality. Here's the truth behind all of the things. First of all, there are several elements that you need to do in order to make an ad work. And second of all, ads are kind of, they're kind of lottery. They're kind of gambling in a sense, because number one, there's always going to be somebody who has deeper pockets. Okay. And if you are the person with the deepest pockets, which would mean that Elon Musk is listening. Hi, Elon. Great to know you. Let's talk. I have some really great sponsorship opportunities for you. But for all the rest of us, there is somebody with deeper pockets that has the ability to be able to buy the same keywords, categories, those kind of things as we do, and spend more money, therefore get seen more often. Now, when you start talking about Facebook ads or things like that, you can get, hi, Steph, glad to have you here with us. You can most definitely get seen, but it's kind of a gamble. Are you getting seen by the right people? And when you see them, are they making the purchase? Okay, now that's number one. Most importantly, and more importantly than that, is what we're doing. Okay, so we take an ad, and I don't care how big the ad is. Hello, Alan. Glad to have you here with us. I don't care how big the ad is. It's only got a few words, and then we've got to say the things to entice the person to click, and they then click to our landing page. Okay, anybody that's done ads, you understand this concept. And then we want to be brilliant with our copy. Okay, and there are companies that have made literally hundreds of billions of dollars writing great ad copy, and there are lots of multi-million-dollar ad agencies that's their forte, is writing you that great copy. Absolutely. Okay. That's totally there. But you got to write that great copy. And then we're hoping that in that one page, in that thing that a person can read in 30 seconds to, at max, maybe 2-3 minutes at the most, that we can convince them to spend how much? $5, $50, 500, 5,000, 50 million. Hi, Allison. Glad to have you here with us. So glad to have you on with us. For all of you that are listening, please do like and subscribe. I'd appreciate you liking and subscribing to the channel and following along with me, because we really want to help you break through the visibility myth. Okay, we tend to look at those ads. And here's the truth. Here's the reality. And anybody that is an ads expert, anybody that does that, is going to tell you, you're going to make the money from your bump offer. So in other words, for those of you that aren't familiar with the languaging on that, you have, you go to the landing page, and then when they get down to the checkout page, there's usually a little checkbox or something there that's a bump offer. Add this thing on, and it's another $5, $10, $27, somewhere in that range. Usually it's like 7, 17, 27 is kind of the common numbers that people are using right now. Okay. And then you go from there and you go to an upsell page. And it's like, since you got that, here's this other incredibly amazing thing that's another $20, $50, $100, and then in some cases, there may be a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth. I even heard one person talking about there was being 10 upsells. And the truth of the matter is, really, when you start dealing in upsell space, the real marketing concept behind that is keep offering them a next thing until they squeak. Until they can't afford or won't afford or don't want the rest of it. Okay. I mean, that's really how the upsells work. And absolutely that works. I mean, I know and have heard several people, but I can give you a specific example of a person who can slate about $50,000 they made off of their book specifically. Okay. They sold 5,000 copies of their book at essentially $10 each, $50,000. They spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000 to $200,000 on ads. All right. So they massively lost money with that. However, they can also come back and they can trace, because of the upsells and the bumps and all those kind of things, about $2 million in new business that they got off the ads. So when you have that structure in place, it works, but you're gambling. First of all, you need to keep on top of those and keep totally doing it. And anybody that's really in that game, and I've got some friends that are really high in that game, and they'll be the first ones to tell you got to keep it fresh, and you got to keep the things out there, and you got to keep on top of it, and you got to watch the ads and the statistics and all those kind of things. It's a little bit like gambling, I mean, it can be gambling like, say, for example, poker, where, Texas Hold'em, you can learn statistically with whatever showing their face value, what is the probability of, a person having XYZ hand, and you can vote on probabilities, and you can learn those kind of things. But at the end of the day, it really still is about feeling, looking, reading the people around the table. The percentages, and you can play very tight like that, and you can win a certain part of them, but you're never going to be that high-end World Series of Poker winner without that gambling aspect of you push it all in, because beyond statistically, you're willing to take the gamble on it. Okay. And you can make money that way too. It costs $25,000 last time I checked to get an entrance into the World Series of Poker, and you can end up at something like, I'd have to look at the list lately, but something like number 100, and you can make like $30,000. So you come out ahead. Okay, now there's probably 5,000 people that are there, so you still have to beat a lot of people in order to make your money back. What if there was a better way? Well, there is. And that has to do with really, truly creating that authority, understanding that it's not just about having a landing page that in 30 seconds to 3 minutes, we convince somebody to start spending money with us. And then we just keep throwing more stuff at them. How about this? How about that? How about this? Here's this really enticing thing. We hope that we can catch you at the time when you're really open to spending money. But rather, we really truly earn their respect. And we want to show you how to be able to really truly earn a person's respect. And your book is, more than anything else, the best way to create know, like, and trust, because we ultimately buy from people that we know, like, and trust. People who are running that gambling thing, they also run, the ads. In other words, they run a higher percentage of chargebacks. Because, they get the people hyped up, and then the people get it and they don't like it, or 5 minutes later, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got that. And they reverse the sales. It just happens. Okay. And that's the nature of it. And I'm not saying let's stop having ads out in the world, but I'm saying there's a better way. The perfect example, and I even used it in the description because as I was writing this, I was really understanding the concept behind this. Okay. For those of you that don't know, my business partner, Willie J, his song Couldn't Imagine came out last month, and it made it number one on the new releases chart. Made it as number one in a couple of different sections, but it also on the overall chart, so not any of the new releases or any of those, on the overall chart, it was number two out of all the pop songs. And we're talking the pop charts, which is the largest, most hardest level of competition charts that there is. Made it as number two. The only song, and we're talking on singles, okay? Amazon Music singles, okay? The only song that beat him, this was October, all right? Keep this in mind. First part of October. The only song that beat him, Thriller by Michael Jackson, okay? He beat out Taylor Swift, and the list goes on. Lady Gaga. There were several others that are very, very well-known artists that had new or newer songs on the chart that were in the top 10. I mean, his was ahead of all of them other than Michael's. And like I said, it was the song Thriller in the month of October. That's huge, okay? Enormous. But I was looking at the other side of that, and I was like, authority lasts. You see, with your ads, you got to keep throwing the money at it. You got to keep doing it, okay? And it's a never-ending situation. How many of you have heard of C.S. Lewis or J.R.R. Tolkien or George R.R. Martin, who wrote Game of Thrones, for those of you that aren't familiar with it? Tolkien would be the Lord of the Rings. C.S. Lewis would be the Chronicles of Narnia. How many of you have heard of J.K. Rowling? The list goes on of authors, okay? I used Tolkien and Lewis to begin with because both of them have passed away, and both of them still continue to have movies made from their book series long past their life. Their notoriety has outlasted them. Their authority, their credibility. Tolkien is pretty well, given the credit for recreating. Don't you hate it when you play phone tag with somebody? I'll have to get back to that person in just a minute. But Tolkien is credited for having, pretty well created the new modern fantasy section of the library or, of the bookstore. All right. That's authority. You want that kind of authority, and you need a system in place to help you have that authority. And we've got that. Real human reviews, real rankings, real sales, real process to truly get people to see, to know, to like, and to trust you. So are you interested in that? I know I talked about how we don't want to hit people and then tell them to spend money. So I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to just simply take one step. Take the first step. Drop the letters amplify, drop the word amplify in a comment, in a DM, amplify. If you can't remember or can't figure out how to spell amplify, AMP, A-M-P, okay? Put that in the comments or in a direct message to me, and let's create visibility and authority that lasts, that starts, it builds, it grows, and it lasts, okay? Let's do that for you, because we want to stop renting authority. We want to stop renting reach. And we want to start really creating true authority and real visibility. That's what you want. That's what you need. And that's what we're here to provide for you. And I look forward to being able to do it for you because I'm here for you. And I appreciate all that you're doing in the world. We're going to get together again tomorrow. We're going to talk about real results that keep coming in. We're going to go deep into that and talk more about all the things that you can do to not just be a hit and miss authority, but to really, truly build that reach. And I look forward to being with you again tomorrow. I appreciate you being here with me today. I hope that you're happy, safe, warm, and loved. And then until we're together again next time, you have a great week.